99.9% of the time, Saturday, Sunday mornings, 8 o'clock, 8:30, I'm in the park till like maybe to 10
a.m.
a.m.
How many?
If you would have asked me how many people in the park, donut.
Athlete mental health. Quick stat. Less than 50% of athletes who need mental health support actually seek it out. What's your take on that, or mental health in general?
I would say it's probably more than 50%.
Yeah.
Usually programs and coaches that know the rigors of being a student athlete and what goes into it beyond just the physicalness of it, that's built into the program itself. So when we're recruiting, and I'm talking to the parent and or the parent and the student athlete, especially with the parents probably, I'm letting that guardian know that I got the whole child's welfare in check. I'll check on the academics, obviously you gotta be eligible, but I also want them to know that because I know that transition from high school to college is a whole other ball game. You're up 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe working out and what have you. We've had student athletes who maybe there's death in the family, there's parents separation. Just like I think we talked about earlier, just like you would have that kid go to study hall, you have that person going to a professional person that's skilled in listening to individual and advising that person on how to deal with whatever challenges and stress that they're going through.
Do you think coaches are comfortable and open to admitting that? So, for example, when I played collegiately, our family was you were going through health challenges. My coaches wanted to win. So yes, they agreed. They said, we want you to take care of yourself, your family. We want to make sure you guys are okay. At the time, therapy was never brought up to me, and this is back in 2005, 6, 7, 8. So it was a different time. But I think now that we're more comfortable talking about it, it's more accepted. But do you think, from a coach's perspective, for someone who went through and continues to fight through different health challenges and the mental aspect, do you think coaches are really willing to admit that, or is that just a nice talking point?
I think if you're a decent program and if you're an elite program, this is not even a discussion anymore. I think it's built in. Sometimes it's never talked about. People say, why is it? They're leaving?
What happened?
Yeah, and sometimes it's because of that. When you talk about mental health, I don't think it has anything to do so much with I think it goes from the time that you are first starting the sport all the way through high school, into college and what have you.
Here's a stat. Off-season training can account for 60 to 70% of total annual performance gains.
I think it's not what you do, it's what you don't do that dictates you stepping on the court or the field. A lot of times when I'm talking to parents or I'm talking to the student athlete himself or herself, I'm doing the math thing. I'm going, okay, you're on a team, there's 10 of you on the team, you're traveling. How many times do you play a week? How many touches of that ball during the game do you get? Out of those touches, how many shot attempts do you get out? Now you take that number, you take that framework versus it to you getting into the gym, getting into the park, and putting up hundreds of shots. Making sure that the mechanics are true, not just you can put up 300 jump shots, but if the mechanics are wrong, it equals nothing. A lot of student athletes, I find, except maybe only the elite ones, don't do that. They get tricked into thinking, well, I'm playing summer ball, but when they do the math, they realize
summer ball organized, summer ball
pickup, and or organized tournaments.
So you're saying the busyness and the facade of games, playing may be counterproductive to working on the fundamentals and getting the
not only the fundamentals, but the repetition and the consistency.
So back in the day, I was elementary, middle school, high school. After work, we would go to the park. Now we didn't just go to the park for when the games start, when pickup started. We go to the park to do a workout.
Yeah.
And you would put me through drills, you would do the drills.
Yeah.
We may play one-on-one, and then when the guys came in, then we would play.
Yeah.
And that even playing didn't mean I was going to get X touches, especially being
pickup ball. You don't go to the foul line.
Right. I knew even if I didn't touch a ball once, even if my my team kept losing and I was always sitting out, I've already had that baked in workout before or after. It's usually before, I think.
In a few weeks, in May, I'll be going to the park, beautiful park here in New Rochelle. 99.9% of the time, Saturday, Sunday mornings, 8 o'clock, 8:30. I'm in the park till like maybe to 10
a.m. How many?
If you would have asked me how many people in the park, donut. And I look around, I'm going, where is, that's unheard of.
Yeah. On weekends, when we went to Roosevelt in the morning, you and I would go extra early.
Think about it now. You now as an adult can look back with adult eyes and ears and go, man, I hated doing that. It's hard to get that 5th grade kid, 6th grade kid, early high school kid to understand that years from now, you're going to look back and say, man, I hated it, but I can see why you had me do that. I can see, I think now when you look at somebody that's an elite player and you look at them, him or her, and you go, wow, and they're making things look easy. You don't see the hours and hours that they put into that craft. I think it's a little more easy for somebody to understand. I don't think it's gotten more easy for somebody to get up 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning to do it. The parent and or the student athlete themselves, they just make the mistake of not doing the math.
How important it is to build the identity of the person that you're going to become after you finish playing. Organized ball. Over 80% of college athletes will not go pro, making identity development critical. I could probably show a stat of all the likelihood of you playing elementary to middle school, college, high school, collegiate, and then playing professionally. For those who do make it to the college level, over 80% of those people will not play professional, whether it's here in the States or overseas. What are some things that you can do to prepare yourself? I know you're big on like going to career services, not starting that when you're
What age are you
senior.
talking about in terms of, what age are you looking at for, when you say prepare yourself? You talking about the high school kid, the college kid?
Get hyper fixated on NIL, get a scholarship, get a good job. So I'm not saying it should be too intense, but I think there should be more talks at the high school level. I also think when you're in high school, you have the pressures of, SAT, testing, you want to get into a school. So I don't think it should be, you should add that out, like what do you want to do when you grow up? I think that's a little stressful.
Okay, I see where you're going. Again, if you have a decent program, decent coach, decent athletic director, you're going to be smart enough to do a few things that has nothing to do with the sport, because you're preparing that person knowing that person, once the season ends and they graduate, they're never going to play that sport again unless they play in some league or whatever it is. So I'm going to prepare you not only academically, but I'm going to prepare you professionally, being flexible, that no matter what profession you go into, I'm going to make sure that you know how to not be afraid to talk in groups. I'm going to have you listen to somebody that played for this program, come back. They're a business person. They're a banker. They're a doctor. They're wherever it is, and they're coming back and they say, "Yeah, man, he had us doing so and so." But you know what? When I finished ball, if you were to tell me that I was going to be a classroom teacher, I don't know, the job opened up and, somebody told me all I got to do, in order to get the job, I got to get my master's in education. But I looked at the benefits, I looked at the health care, I'm going, I got summers off.
So exposure to what that world looks like.
Yeah.
I like to see more coaches or administrators highlight and show all of the benefits, like the actual value you get out of normal jobs and careers. So I know, I'll just speak from my experience, I know you and Mom did that for me growing up. You said, look at a teacher. You're not on Wall Street, you're not, professional athlete, you're not raking in millions of dollars, but you look at what you guys built. You just mentioned you have summers off, you get good salary, you get union, health care. Beyond that, you have the opportunity to influence and change the trajectory of lives. Like that's like those feel good things. But I feel like right now, I'll just speak from the millennial and younger, we're glorifying influencers. We're glorifying like all the people who you get rich quick. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But I think a lot of coaches and administrators, especially when you talk about economy, how things are going, affordability, housing, we should do a better job from like an overall of really highlighting careers that may not seem great. Electricians, plumbers, these are jobs, there's no
You know
shame
what?
in that. You know what I mean?
You're bringing up a whole. As a matter of fact, we should put that down as another
For
topic to
another-
talk about.
yeah.
There's so much to talk about, but I think that and what's interesting is that people that would watch this, it's interesting because everybody, it's like looking at a mirror. Everybody has their viewpoints. Former athletes that would be looking at this, or athletes would be looking at it, they would go, oh yeah, they forgot to talk about blah, blah, blah. Or, man, what they just said, now, it triggers your memories of stuff,
Yeah.
which is the purpose of,
All right.